The day Max Factory gives us a Figma Guyver 2 and 3, my pants will just cease to exist. Hey, my name is Jobby, and I've talked about Guyver on this channel before, namely the Figma Guyver 1 review, check it out if you haven't, and I recounted the story of how my younger cousin showed a very young Jobby a cartoon that scarred me for life. The 1989 OVA Guyver the Bio-Boosted Armor introduced me to the world of adult animation, and by adult animation I don't mean tentacle stuff, but when we're talking about the Guyver Unit 2, specifically the Figma Guyver 2F, we're actually talking about tentacle stuff. That wasn't a joke, let me explain. In the Guyver anime that I regrettably grew up with, Guyver 2 was an asshole with an alien suit out to capture our hero, who was also an asshole with an alien suit. But before that anime even came out, there was a one-shot Guyver anime that was released in 1986, and that was called Guyver Out of Control, which I never watched and I'm kinda glad I didn't. In Guyver Out of Control, Guyver 2 is a woman instead of a man, and her first transformation into the bio-boosted armor is quite graphic. Now, I'm not gonna show you the scene for obvious reasons, so just take my word for it. But I probably got demonetized in the first few seconds of this video, so whatever, here it is. Good thing I'm not wearing pants. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is amazing. I've always been a fan of the Guyver design, and what better way to improve it than by giving it female assets. And to really drive home the fact that this is a female, the crotch plate has a conspicuous crease that explicitly suggests I'm really pushing my luck today. A lot of the detail on this figure implies something spicy. So there's actually two versions of this figure. The movie color version, which is the one that I have, and the manga colored version. Practically no difference in sculpt from what I can tell, only difference being that one is purple and the other one is for fat. It's okay for men to like pink, you cisgendered privileged fuck. And the small details on this figure are precisely painted, and those clear eyes just pop. But there's other pieces on this figure that pop, and not in the good way. Despite the figure looking uncomfortably delicious, I have a few problems with the feel of the figure. First of all, this thing pops off way too easily, fuck you. And her right shoulder keeps popping out of the ball socket, fuck you even harder. Preferably with a tentacle. These bits of quality control issues is very disappointing when you compare it to the Guyver Unit 1, which was pretty much solid and fun to handle. While this figure's not a complete chore to handle, it can get any suggestions on how to fix this ball joint that's not actually loose, it just pops off easily, I'll love you forever. This being a Figma figure, aren't you glad I'm doing these again? She's got a few accessories. First of all, the hands. In addition to her default fists, you get a pair of grabby hands, relaxed hands, and stretched out hands. And this pair of hands is really good for this pose. And I forgot the name of this attack, even though you guys told me in the first Figma review the Alzheimer's is really kicking in. You can switch out these arm blades for these longer arm blades, which unfortunately also pop off very easily. Now, it wouldn't be that big of a problem if these things were not. I don't like touching them. You get an extra wrist peg, but who cares? It's all fucking loose anyway. And for her final accessory, is it too late to say this video is not safe for work? This figure's Mega Smasher is beautifully sculpted, and it's got what I wanted from the Guyver 1 Figma, but that one didn't have. The yellow part, I mean, not the internal nipple. Only thing that disappoints me about this feature is that her chest can't actually open. Part swapping is your only option. It's not super disappointing, but if the guy could do it, why can't the girl? Come on, guys, feminism! And if you wanted to get her up in the air, you get a standard Figma stand that has a hinge joint rotation. As for the rest of the figures, ball joint at the head, can't look up that far and down that far, ball joint at the shoulder, which allows for rotation, arm moves out, swivel here, bend at the elbow, ball joint, and of course every ball joint can be a swivel, up and down at the wrist, rotate that peg and you can get some side to side. Ball joint at the chest, ab crunch, arcing back, ball joint at the hips, and the flexible material around the hips allows for a high kick, and her butt doesn't get in the way of the legs moving back that far. Ball joint at the crotch that allows the hips to shift, beautiful spread, swivel, bit more of the good stuff, bend at the knee, up and down at the ankle, a pivot, and a toe bend. Posability on this figure is excellent, if not even better than the first Figma Guyver, but unfortunately those popping pieces get in the way of me having fun. But it's not impossible. So it appears that getting tentacles in your butt adds a few inches. Here's Figma Madoka Kaname, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and the Figma Guyver 1, who to my surprise is significantly shorter than the Guyver 2. Are you suggesting that girls have to be shorter than men? No, I just said I was surprised by the height of an action figure. Overall, this figure's awesome. It's undeniable that the figure looks absolutely beautiful, but playing with it is not quite as fun as I hoped it would be. Not the worst feeling figure in the world, I highly suggest it to any Guyver fan out there. And if you're on the fence whether or not you should get this figure right now, get it right the fuck now. You will regret it if you don't. And if you're interested in this figure, why don't you get it at the Lunar Toy Store? Even though they didn't give this to me, I hope this plug pays off. Insert comment about great selection of figures, show pre-order for Frame Arms Girl, and hopefully that saves my channel. Now excuse me, looking at this figure's face has got me in the mood for some stuff. Link in the description for you fucking degenerates.